Richard D. Wolff is an Emeritus Professor of Economics at the University of Massachusetts, UMass Amherst. He joins us now from New York. Professor Wolff, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. Now, as far as I know, the Republicans have sort of pivoted from their initial opposition to this second stimulus package. Back in April, or I think it was in May, they were fairly vocal in a unified stance against this second payment. What's changed?
The deterioration of the U.S. economy. I mean, we are watching it's almost the word collapse that comes to my mind. You know, the United States has 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's COVID cases and COVID deaths. In June, the last full month, the deficit of the budget in the United States was $864 billion. We have never seen unemployment like this, deficits like this. We have an economy that is in such free fall down that the government is throwing whatever kind of money it can. And the reason the Republicans came to the table is that the country is feeling itself sliding into a catastrophe, and at a time when the leadership of both major parties seems utterly incapable of coming up with a solution.
I want to talk a little bit about that because Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, has said that the Republicans' proposal, it lacks urgency. There's a lack of understanding and an empathy for the people who need it most. You talked about the collapse. You talked about the free fall that the U.S. economy is going through. I mean, was there a cumulative dropping of the proverbial ball here, not just by the Senate, but also by the House, as well as the administration in the White House? I mean, do the leaders fully understand the implications of how bad the situation is?
I think the short answer to your good question is no, they do not. The Democrats, as usual, want to do a little bit more for the mass of people. The Republicans, as usual, want to do a little bit less. But we're seeing both sides coming up with too little, too late. They've been doing that now since February, when this crisis began, and they seem to be in what we call denial, kind of hoping that if they do their usual, this problem will go away. Trump at least says that. Other people don't say it, but seem to be acting continuously, no matter how terrible the news about the disease or about the collapsed economy. And we see also the effort to blame the Chinese or to blame peaceful protesters in Oregon, the usual effort to deflect attention, but it isn't working. And I think that's why even the Republicans are now willing at least to do something that looks like they are concerned.
This second stimulus package, which is being debated by the Republican-led Senate, it is aimed at providing some sort of relief, at least short-term relief. But isn't the real problem, you're not really addressing the real root cause of all this? For me, it just seems like you're kicking this can down the road.
Yes, you are, and you would have thought that by now, with the accumulation of problems that we have, extreme inequality, extreme unstable business cycles, extreme conflict between the citizens and the police, extreme racial difficulties between African Americans and white people. I mean, you would have thought that more kicking down the road is literally going to get us to where we are now, with too many problems happening at the same time, aggravating one another, so that a solution becomes even more difficult for people who didn't want to have to come up with a solution in the first place. I am a person of some age. I have never seen the U.S. economy in anything like this bad shape in my life.
Strong words. All right, Professor Richard D. Wolff, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate your analysis.